got another guitar here, and I think now would be a good time just to talk about some of your influences.
Sure.
And how you developed your style.
So I grew up in the 80s shred era that many people love and hate. I think the stuff that people loved is what I loved about it, and the stuff that people hate about it is probably the same things I hate about it. I started playing very young, maybe 12 years old. I was lucky enough to have a local teacher who was $3 a half hour. And you would go to his house, and his mother, who was like 1,000 years old, would be like, "Hello, come in, Richie's upstairs." And he had this like MXR paddle board that had like every MXR paddle ever made. It was super noisy. Great guy, great player. And I was influenced very much by, I mean, really the three I think you got to say are like, you know, any Ozzy guitar player, but specifically, of course, Randy. Jakey Lee, which is also great since Greg played on this from Badlands. Badlands was a huge influence on me. Eddie Van Halen, I think, by far and above is like the upper echelon.
Sure.
And also for me, George Lynch. So even when you listen to like... Like that's Shine, our second single. Very George Lynchy. It's like the little pre-chorus, like. It is very George Lynchy.
Yeah.
Huge influence on me was George Lynch. You know, then all the typical sort of like, of course, like Warren DeMartini from Rat was a big influence on me because again, that was my era, right? Like, and then now for me, I didn't really mind that the 80s were over. So like we talked about some of this records on like Days of the New, which I love that band. I love Soundgarden. To be honest, when Alice in Chains came out, that spoke to me more, right? As the dark minor, the creepy harmonies.
Sure.
You know, I guess the lyrical and subject matter were more like kind of in line. Like Chris Cornell was a huge influence. Yeah. And then for me too, Queensryche's probably my favorite band with the songs. I love that band. But then even like, you know, even the people today, like Polyphia, and I love the heavy stuff. I dragged my wife to a Ginger concert recently, which wasn't great for me to take her to that. I was happy, she was not. So, you know, pretty much anything. I like country, I like, you know, jazz, not so much.
That's good. I mean, the fact that you're able to still take things from newer music is there's something to be said for that, because I feel like a lot of people, you know, what they listen to when they're young kind of just sticks with them, and that's your home base.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah. So like I kind of just sponge up everything, and you know, this project's very much like you said, like comfy classic rock, and I love it. But a lot of what I do is either heavier, more alt, or funky. Like Funk Prana is a project I'm doing. Kevin from Extremes playing drums. And he also played on Cross Country Driver Track. And it's the one sort of caveat I have for it was that I will not play distorted guitar on it. Which, I don't know, if later when I started laying down the tracks, I was like, was that really a good idea? Like, this is really hard to like make it sound good.
Yeah, paint yourself.
But yeah, so a lot of different things, yeah.
That's great. So talk about this guitar a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, so one thing I forgot to mention with my influence is there's a local guy, I'm from upstate New York, Binghamton, Mark DeBellis. And absolutely incredible musician, like musician, like ridiculous facility on the guitar, ridiculous vocals, harmonies, leads, whatever. Played like literally just like always played a Strat or sometimes a Steinberger, which is the first time I ever saw one of those, into a Marshall or an old GK solid state amp. Like it made no sense. This guy was just incredible. And so initially was a teacher and super big inspiration for me. And then we became friends and blah, 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 typical hanging out and that kind of stuff. And Mark had always had a battle of cancer and eventually passed away from cancer. And, you know, I moved to Boston, you know, I think he went to Vegas and ended up in North Carolina. So we lost track of each other. He passed away, which totally sucked. And then through the internet, I was able to acquire this guitar, which was Mark's, from his sister. So, you know, I love all my guitars. But this is absolutely the most special one. It's, you know, it was almost unplayed from when he had bought it new. Like it's cool because like in the case was like all like clippings of Mark paper because he was in upstate New York, he was a big deal.
Yeah.
So news clippings about Mark, and like even like it had like old Fender polish. It had like where it came from, like all this like original strings, like crazy amounts of like stuff. Now, of course, I must admit the first thing I did was bastardize it, and I yanked out the single coils, and I put in Chris from Black Cat. Helped me put in a Duncan JB and a Jazz. So it's like it just. But this particular,
reliable, right?
Yeah, and this is an ash body, maple neck, which I love, and it just has like a huge like bottom end.
Yeah.
But so it just sounds great, and I try and like I said, this is my favorite guitar, and I try and play it daily.